everybody. Welcome. So glad that you joined us today. I'm here with Brandon Donaldson. He is a pastor on the Life.Church Open Network team, and today we are talking about football. Okay, football and church don't always go together, but for this particular weekend that we're going to be talking about, they do.
They definitely do.
Yes, yeah. So I have a little disclaimer right now. There are some licensing things that don't allow us to say the name of this event, but I want us to all get on the same page right now so that you'll know what we're talking about the whole time. There is a championship game that happens every February for American football. It's a really big deal. People have chicken wings. Do we all know what game we're talking about?
I think we know what game we're talking about.
Okay, so we're going to call it Super Sunday.
Super Sunday.
Super Sunday. So the big message here is that we as a church do not need to ignore this big, powerful weekend. In the past, sometimes it's been that churches see lower attendance because people are staying home to watch the big game, but that does not have to be
Pastors
the case.
right now are being like, yes.
Yes.
Right.
So Brandon, talk to us first, big picture, before we get into some specifics about Super Sunday, this idea of momentum.
Okay, so just as a big picture before we jump into Super Sunday, because this might be new for some of you experience this, but in the midst of a year, you're going to have Christmas and you're going to have Easter. Now, all of you pastors and leaders, you know that is natural momentum. People come to church that would never step foot in your church. You prepare for it, you're passionate about it, and it's awesome. Well, there's some other times in the year, like Super Sunday and maybe the summer, that have a momentum in culture, but definitely is lower attendance for churches in general. So here's what we do is, and we're going to just look at Super Sunday for this example. There is great momentum around this game. I mean, it's ridiculous, and we're going to talk through it.
Culturally.
Yeah, and so we want to say, hey, we could either say, you know what, you sinners that stay home and watch the game and make you feel bad, and nobody's going to come to your churches anyway because they're watching the big game, they're getting all these things ready. Or we could say, hey, why don't we just tap into this momentum because our heart is that people come to know Christ, that we can share the gospel with them, that they'll be fully devoted followers of Christ. And so we're going to do that, but what if we tap into this natural momentum and it turns into what we found out, a Easter or a Christmas in February. So then the flow becomes Christmas, and then you have this Super Sunday, and that leads right into Easter, and then we even talk about summer later. But right now, we're going to talk about Super Sunday, and this is a great opportunity to invite people if you leverage it. So we're going to talk a little bit about how you could leverage this amazing Super Sunday and what you could do. We've got some great resources and we got some great thoughts. So let me start with some thoughts. First thing, before we jump into our key thoughts, I want you to think about three things that you need to leverage if you're going to leverage this game that already has momentum. So when I'm talking about leverage it strong. The first is football. People love football, especially on this day. In fact, up to 115 million, almost 116 million watched this game.
So that's like 1/3 of the entire population of the United States.
It's huge, and it's worldwide too. So it's such a huge opportunity. People love football. But Jordan, I know, do you love football? You love watching football?
Football is okay, but I'm not a regular watcher.
Okay. Jordan represents many other people in your church that still are a part of this Super Sunday, but it's not about the football.
I like the commercials.
They're huge. Another thing you can leverage. It's so popular. In fact, companies will pay up to $5 million this year for 30 seconds. So companies are like, listen, we are going to leverage this thing and it's worth it.
Yeah, these companies are realizing we have the attention of the American people. We are going to show them some stuff, and we're hoping to bring some of that into church.
So churches, let's listen up and let's leverage this thing. So commercials is another one. And then maybe the biggest one that we don't talk about a whole lot is the food, the party atmosphere. It's ridiculous. I was looking at stats before we did this. So just so you know, when 125 million chicken wings are sold the week before the game. 71 million pounds of avocados are used for guacamole.
Where are we keeping 71 million pounds of avocados?
That's another discussion on missions on how, but it's ridiculous what people eat. There was one funny one. There was a certain store that was looking after the game, and there was a 20% rise in antacids that are sold. So they're measuring this stuff. they see the momentum and they are grabbing it. And so I tell you those things as we go through these next, we're gonna look at 4 ideas. So 4 quarters in a game. We're gonna look at 4 ideas for you to really think about. But I want you to think of those 3 things through the whole thing. How can you leverage that as a church? I mean, we're gonna have some fun because remember the purpose. We want to lead people to become fully devoted followers of Christ. And if we have an opportunity to bring people that would never step foot in our church, we're gonna do it.
Okay, so Brandon, so to recap, the things that we're really thinking about are football, commercials, and the food party atmosphere. Yep. So keep those things in mind, because as we work through the next 4 key principles, those are the things that we're talking about. So there's 4 quarters in a game, like you said, so we have 4 really easy key thoughts for you to be thinking about as your church is leveraging Super Sunday. So the first one is the excitement in your community. You are going to start seeing billboards go up, sales in the grocery store, the big giant Coke displays that are in the shape of football helmets, everything like that. And the people in your town are excited. They are already planning where they are going to watch the big game. They are starting to buy those wings and cook them, and you want your church to be right in the middle of that. So start doing stuff on social media. Start posting pictures. Maybe print out some invite cards and have your attenders invite people to church. Build that excitement in your community. Yeah. So then next is energy. You want to talk about that, Brandon?
So the second thing, we'll go second quarter here, and that's energy. So think in your building, so where you're going to be having this. Now, there's a lot of different ways you could do it. You could have it for your service. You could actually have a watch party. However you do it, create an atmosphere in your building that really, really goes with this Super Sunday. This can be so much fun for you and your teams. So remember the 3 things. You could have food cooking. You could have the smells of the game. You could tailgate, or have people tailgating there. I mean, how cool would that be in your parking lots? What a great way to people in the community as they're driving by being like, what in the world is going on?
They see a party.
You bet.
Yep.
You could decorate your church like a tailgate party or like the big game. There's so many ways. And so we do this at Life.Church. We just go all out. And so when people walk in, it's like, okay, we know it's the big game. They're excited, and they want to be there because we're tapping into this thing, and it's a lot of fun, great energy in the building. So just think about that. There's so many ways that you could leverage commercials. You could leverage the football idea. You could leverage that food party atmosphere. And man, we say lean into it. Go for it for the purpose of what you're bringing people there for.
Yeah, and with commercials, that's such an easy thing. You could even just, if you have maybe 1 or 2 TVs in your lobby, just have the commercials playing. Yeah. Just simple things like that are really going to create that energy in the building. Okay, so the third thing is engagement in your attenders and the people who are coming. So this is a really big deal. If the idea here is that maybe we're going to have people in church who aren't normally in church, but they're here to check out this Super Sunday event, you want to equip your team to really make relationships with them. So your staff and your volunteers, man, just tell them ahead of time, go meet people, maybe make a contest out of it. Who of your volunteers and staffs can meet the most people and welcome the most families? This is also a great time for people to serve. Maybe someone's been in your church for a year and they haven't really served yet. They can cook hot dogs and be really excited about it.
There's things that happen here when you're creating an environment that we've learned at Life.Church. It's a great principle to get people into your serving opportunities that you normally don't have. Tailgating.
Yep.
There's some men in your church that would be like, I would love to do that. For free, you bet, man. You got some
I will be there.
We'll do it. That sounds awesome. There's people that are going to be, you've got coaches and players and they're like, oh, you want to decorate yeah, man, we have stuff. We'll own it. Let's do it. And it's a great way to really get people into the life of your church that might be a part of your church, but get them excited about reaching more people in the community in a different way.
Yeah. And another fun one that we've started doing maybe the last 1 or 2 years here at the church is to do photo ops. Yeah. We set up a simple wall, maybe it's got AstroTurf on the bottom and some football gear on the back. People will stop literally by the hundreds and take pictures there in front of that wall and post them to social media. And that makes just such a fun, engaging thing for people.
And it helps that first quarter of excitement that continually, happening. So you've got your energy in the building, and this is part of that. But then the engagement is really the people being involved. Just think about how many people and make the ask, get people excited, let them own it. I'm telling you, it's going to be an awesome opportunity and people are going to be pumped about it. And then the fourth thing we have, fourth quarter here, is easy does it, is the way we say it. And this is really about the purpose.
Easy does it.
So think about Easter or Christmas or anything big where you invite new people, and this is a time where people would come to church that would never come to church. And this is a great opportunity to give them just high-level vision and heart of your church. Not the 50 things that they can be a part of, not a million announcement. I mean, just give them a little bit of heart. Really, the heart is to get to know them, to get them back the next week. Maybe it's to fill out a communication card so that you can follow up with them, because Easter's right around the corner, and this is a great opportunity to just focus on the purpose of, hey, we're just glad you're here. What can we tell them to get them back the next week? What's our strategy for follow up and those kinds of things?
Yeah.
So,
and pastors, as you're talking from the stage too, you may want to just take 30 seconds, 1 minute, and give a little context or a little bit of history for your church, because we can sometimes assume everybody that's in the audience has been here before, but you're going to have new people. Sit back for a moment and tell them who your church is, maybe when it was founded, or a cool story about how God moved you to start the church, and what your mission is, and that's going to really help people know who you are.
That's good.
Okay, so we talked about these 4 key elements. They all started with E, if you'll notice. So that's how you kind of think about approaching Super Sunday. So now let's talk about the actual service. Like Brandon said before, you could do a watch party when the game is actually on. Totally fun and great and involving. Or you could actually do something during your sermon, though. So the other thing that we do here at Life.Church hits that commercial side of things. So it's called 30-second theology. And what Pastor Craig does is he takes some of the most funny or most moving or most popular commercials, and he builds a sermon around them. And this is a really, really fun thing, because someone might have seen that commercial for Cheetos, and now suddenly we're getting to learn a biblical principle about it. It's really disarming, it's engaging, it's fun, and we can have fun at church. And that's kind of what this weekend is about.
And that really leads, as we close up, one of the things we get most excited about here at Open Network is the community aspect. This is one of my favorite times to really come together, and I'm talking to you. So to get into the community, you're going to see a post, a discussion about Super Sunday. We would love to hear, what are you doing? What's some questions you have? Jump in, let people know. Maybe you're using commercials, maybe you're using football, maybe you're using both. We'll use a little bit of both. We'll have some football, some of those great interviews, as part of the experience. Whatever you do, what are you doing in your lobbies? There's so many great ideas, and here is the power of Open Network. When we share it together, we truly can grow further and faster together, and that's what we're about, the mission of leading people to become fully devoted followers of Christ. That's why we would leverage Super Sunday. That's why we get excited about it, and we lean into these 4 things, these 4 quarters, and we say, hey, we're not going to push it away. We're going to actually leverage this for Christ and for what He wants to do in our community. So, good luck to you guys. We can't wait to hear your stories. We'll see you in the community.